back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the most recent books that I've read in the last little while. I haven't done a monthly wrap-up in a long time, and it's just because my months are so inconsistent that it's really hard for me to do these, especially when I was in school. But the summer has reared its head. It is like quite a ways into the summer already, and I haven't filmed one of these yet, but I'm going to be doing a little wrap-up for you guys for the month of June. So at the beginning of June, I was in the middle of my Kathy Reich's Bones burst, just because I read a bunch of, I bought a bunch of her Bones books at a local book sale that I had. Each of them were like $1, so I bought a bunch of them. I tend to go into phases where I read like 20 of them at the same time, or like one right after the other, and this was like the tail end of the latest one of those sprees. So the first two books on here are Kathy Reich's Bones novels, so they're in the same type of series. The first one that I completed was Bones Never Lie, and this one I think follows another book in this series that I have on my phone. I've got the Kindle version of it, but I haven't read it yet. So there were little bits that were I didn't have context for, but it was still a great read for me. This one particularly dealt with two child murders, unfortunately, where they were connected over state lines, some in Canada from back in whenever this other book was set, and then some in North Carolina now, which is where Temperance Brennan is based. If you guys haven't read any of the Bones books, they're fantastic thriller mystery books. They follow the forensic anthropologist Dr. Temperance Brennan, who works with the FBI who works with the local North Carolina PD, and as well as the medical legal lab in Montreal in Canada, to solve cold cases or cases with bodies that are so decomposed or old that they're basically just skeletal, and she has to help solve the crimes by figuring out how these people died, or if there's any like forensic evidence on them or anything like that, any evidence in their bones, hence the titles all being bones related. It's what inspired the TV show Bones, which is aired on Fox for a while. It's like the show's over now, which is heartbreaking, but it's one of mine and my cousin's favorite shows. And so I've been trying to make my way through all the books because there are a ton of them. It was incredible. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Again, just because I didn't understand some of the other context, but overall these tend to be an average of 4 out of 5 stars for me, and I really enjoyed it. The next one that I read was Speaking in Bones, which is, I think, one of the more recent ones. It was published in 2015. I don't know if there's another one after it or not yet, but if not, it might be the most recent one that's been written. This one followed Brennan when she was approached by an amateur detective, like a web sleuther, saying, with a horrible recording on it, saying that she believes that the woman on the recording is a Jane Doe that's in Brennan's office, or in Brennan's lab at the same time. And it leads her on this crazy chase following these insane families and like attempting to figure out who these people are, what the tape means. And this one was insane. This one was like a whirlwind. This one was creepy as hell, which I loved, and it left me feeling really weird afterwards, which I thought was really accomplishment for this. I also gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. The next book that I picked up was Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly. This was one of my most anticipated books of this year, and it really did not disappoint. I adored this book. This book is a Cinderella retelling, but instead of following Cinderella or even the evil stepmother, this story actually follows one of the evil stepsisters. And it's based off of the Grimm's tale, in which the stepsisters cut off part of their feet in order to make them fit into the glass slipper. This one specifically follows Isabel, who is the sister that cut off her toe in order to make her shoe fit, and it tells the story of what happened after Cinderella got her prince. So it tells the story of her and her stepmother and her sister, her mother and her sister basically living in destitution, like completely shunned by their entire community, ignored basically by Cinderella, and left to deal with the consequences of their actions, as it's revealed how they treated Cinderella their entire lives. The story was fantastic. I loved the way that they dealt with beauty and like what made the stepsisters ugly. It wasn't necessarily their lack of beauty, but it was what they were interested in. Like, for example, Isabel is a roughhouser. She's an adventurer. She wants to ride horses and fight with swords and get herself dirty, and like she's not interested in frilly dresses or sewing or the things that girls are meant to be interested in at this time. Her sister, on the other hand, is a genius and is interested in math and science and experimenting and reading and has no interest in love or relationships whatsoever. And I thought it was so interesting seeing how these two women are treated in this world, and like what Isabel has to go through to learn that being pretty isn't what she actually is desiring, what she actually is dreaming of. It's what she wants to be able to do with her life. I loved this book so much. I thought it was incredible, and I'm so happy I read it. The next book that I picked up during the month of June was Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is the first Margaret Rogerson book I read. I actually just finished Enchantment of Ravens just a couple days ago, but you'll see that in my July wrap-up. And I love this book so much too. Oh, sorry, I gave Stepsister 5 out of 5 stars. I love this book so much too. This is a new favorite for me, absolutely hands down. This tells the story of Elizabeth, who is a apprentice young librarian at one of the great libraries in this world. The great libraries house not only regular books, but also grimoires. Grimoires are used by sorcerers in this world in order to cast their magic. The role of the libraries and the wardens of the libraries are to not only protect the spells in these grimoires from sorcerers that would abuse them, but also protecting the world from these grimoires as well. In this world, grimoires are almost alive, and if they are attacked or threatened into like violent a way, they will actually manifest into these creatures. After an act of sabotage in her own library, where one of the most dangerous grimoires in the entire establishment is changed into one of these creatures, Elizabeth is actually implicated for the crime, and she's brought to the capital to face justice. The only other person that can help her, the only person she can turn to, is like her sworn enemy, a sorcerer named Nathaniel Hawthorne. The two of them have to work together to uncover a even greater conspiracy, even greater threat in this in their kingdom, and this story just enchanted me from the beginning. I love the way the magic works. It's like demon-based magic and like blood magic, in the sense that they use grimoires to cast their spells, but the thing that gives them power is demons. They have to summon demons and kind of make deals with demons in order to get their power. I thought it was incredible. I thought the way the magic worked was so cool. I love the characters. I loved Silas so much. Silas is Nathaniel's like manservant, and he's just hysterical. It was incredible. I think Elizabeth was such a like badass character who wouldn't take no for an answer, and was just so passionate about her books and about her library and about keeping this world safe and keeping these books safe, that I felt very akin to her. I bonded with Elizabeth during this. I flew through it. I thought it was incredible. The story, like, it's a standalone again, and it was just such a perfect little story. I adored it. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read for the Reading Riordan Book Club book pick of the month of June. I read Percy Jackson and the Olympians, book 1, The Lightning Thief. This was a reread for me. I read this first back in 2016, and I adored it just as much the second time around as I did the first. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was incredible. If you guys haven't read Percy Jackson, do it. Follows the son of Poseidon, the ancient Greek god, as he's discovering that all of the myths and legends of his history classes are actually true and alive, and he is one of them. He is tasked with a quest in order to find the missing master bolt of Zeus, in which he creates all the rest of his lightning bolts. His father has been implicated for the crime, and in order to prove himself and his father innocent, Percy goes on this quest to find the master bolt and return it back to Zeus. This is an incredible story. I love Percy Jackson so much. I love it to the bottom of my at the bottom of my heart. I think they're incredible stories. I think they're great stories about friendship and family and believing in yourself when nobody else does, and overcoming your fears. I think it's just, they're hysterical too. They're really funny and with really accurate mythology in it, which I think is fantastic. But I just adore these books with every fiber of my being, and if you haven't read them yet, absolutely do so. check out the book club as well. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below, because they're going to be going through and reading a bunch of these, so you should hop on board and do it, like now. And lastly, the last book that I read in the month of June was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. Guys, this book. This was, again, another one of my most anticipated books of this year, and it did not disappoint. I adored this. This is a new favorite. Absolutely. This book tells the story of Zafira, who is known as who takes on the moniker of the Hunter, who is the only one who can enter her enchanted, sick forest that lives near her world. Or sorry, her little village, without coming out mad or not coming out at all. She uses this ability to hunt while she's in the Ars, the damned forest, and feeds her people through it. But if anyone found out that she was a woman, her deeds would be twisted and turned into a negative, and she'd never be able to hunt again. It also tells the story of Nasir, who is the Prince of Death, the most feared assassin in this land, and also the crown prince of the entire world. The two of them are thrust together on this journey. The hunter Zafira is tasked with traveling to the hidden isle, or cursed isle, in the middle of their lands called the Shar, in order to recover an artifact that might restore magic to the kingdom for good. Whereas Nasir has been sent to kill the one who finds the artifact. This story is so amazing. I love it so much. It's steeped with mythology, it's steeped with magic and such incredible world building. It's an ancient Arabian inspired fantasy, which I've never seen before I read this. And I just adored every second of it. Hafsa did such a good job with this. The characters broke my heart and made me laugh and made me cry. And it was just an absolute joy to read this. If you have not read it, I highly, highly recommend you do. And yeah, it was incredible. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. If I could give it 10, I would, but I can't because there's only 5. But they get them all. Thank you guys so much for watching. That was my recent reads video, number 1, because I will continue to do these, I promise. If you've read any of the books on my list, please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel and helps to grow this little community. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I put out new bookish videos every Monday and Friday. And I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye-bye.